What are your thoughts on the Myrtle Beach Classic Qualifier that Pete and several of the YouTube golfers participated in? And would Rick accept an invite to participate should he ever get the opportunity? So just explain what this...
If I've got enough subscribers.
Yeah. What was this event? Let's explain what the event was to people that maybe don't know.
It was somewhat of a clever marketing ploy, really, which I actually would say has been successful. Myrtle Beach have a golf event, which... is on the PGA Tour, and I'm not actually sure when it is.
You know. Sorry, my chair's been really noisy again.
Effectively, they had an invitation where they had 8 YouTubers, personalities, content creators, and 8 kind of tour pros who are on the cuff of being on a PGA Tour event. They had a 1-round shootout, and the winner of that 1-round shootout got exemption into this PGA Tour event. Okay, the video was filmed quite a while ago, quite a few weeks ago now, and the guys did an incredible job at keeping everything under wraps. They must have signed NDAs, and nobody knew who the winner was. Nobody knew what the results were. And then, was it last week, Myrtle Beach YouTube channel put the full video out of the full experience of the guys playing. It was almost like a little Netflix documentary style. A little bit of, I think, unfair criticism for the Myrtle Beach video.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was quite good, considering. I know they had a lot of time to edit it, but I thought to be able to film that many people, 16 people on a round of golf and different groups, and be able to kind of feed in different storylines, I actually think they did a really solid job, to be fair. Since that, a lot of these creators, the 8 creators who played in it, so you had Peter Finch, Michael Morris, Grant Horvat,
FP,
Fat Perez,
Luke Kwan,
Dan Rappaport, Luke Kwan,
and then you had...
was it one of the Buster Jack guys?
Yeah.
Buster or Jack played in it. That's 7. Who else? Oh, George Bryant.
Oh, yeah. But he feels like a player.
But he was there as a content creator.
He was.
So since that, these 8 content creators have released almost their own version of the event. Friday night, Claire was out, my wife, out with some school mums. And I thought, there's not much on TV. I'm not sure what to watch. I'm gonna watch this Myrtle Beach video from Pete. Okay.
Yeah.
I messaged Pete at 9:30. I've not been on alcohol for a while now, so this is not alcohol induced. I said, "Hi mate, really good Myrtle Beach video, pal. The editing really captured the emotion. Also well played."
Yeah.
He said, "Thank you and thank you. Felt like I was hanging on for dear life at times, but managed to style it out." And I must admit, Pete shot one over.
He had a good round.
He could have won. He genuinely could have won.
What went through? What won?
He had a 3 under.
So he was, 4 off.
To be honest, he dropped he had 2 penalty shots in there. He had a couple of silly putts that he missed. He had a great eagle on the back 9. He could have genuinely been under par and potentially won and playing in the PGA Tour event, which was a bit mad. But he did very, very good considering the pressure. I think that's the thing that definitely affected a lot of the golfers, because if you actually look at the leaderboard, 3 under 1. Let me just fact check that. Myrtle Beach. What was it actually called? Qualifier.
I just had it up then. It was. Bear with me. Yeah,
was it 3 under?
It was 3 under. Atkins and George Bryant. Was it Matt Atkins?
Yeah. So they went through to a final. They went off to a 1 playoff hole because George Bryant actually shot. He bogeyed the last, and Matt Atkins birdied the last for him to put them both on 3 under par. They played the last hole, and then Matt Atkins birdied it again to actually get through. Since, I don't know if you've heard this news, Myrtle Beach themselves the Myrtle Beach Classic have reached out to George Bryant and also given him an exemption, which a lot of people are kind of not happy about. I think it's great. I'm glad they've given an exemption. There was talks about, what was the point in the qualifier? But genuinely, I think that was. If you're going to get eyeballs to a tour event, put someone like George Bryant on the start sheet. I think that gets more eyeballs than Matt Atkins does.
Yeah, I have mixed thoughts on the whole thing, really. I think initially when I heard about it, there was a lot of backlash from people who were very much believing that you shouldn't be giving away a spot to a YouTuber, that, whatever. And I was quite for it, and I thought at the time it was very kind of innovative, and it was a one-off thing, and, whatever. And then when I learned that there was kind of 8 creators and then 8 actual kind of serious playing pros, if you like, it took something away from it for me. And I think really I kind of feel a little bit, and this is silly because I know George Bryant all, tied and has now gone through. But again, I see George Bryan really as an amazing golfer who has a YouTube channel rather than a YouTuber who's good at golf. That's fair.
You see him as an amazing golfer who has a YouTube channel.
Yes. Whereas I see Pete as being a YouTuber who's also very good at golf.
Yeah.
Same as like Grant Horvat or FP. I think the YouTubers, firstly, who are really good at golf. I don't think George is that. I think George is an almost tour player. Very, very, very good. And he documents himself. So
he's made a cut in a PJ Tour.
Well, that's what I mean,
event.
exactly. His brother is a PJ Tour player. He knows standards. He's an amazing golfer. So Matt Atkins that won, and according to the PJ Tour website, is a veteran Corn Ferry Tour Pro. Quite hard to say that weirdly. So I'm not surprised that he got through, and rightly so. He's obviously a very, very good golfer who deserved that PJ Tour start. But I just kind of felt a little bit like, I don't want to have been clickbaited because that's the wrong way of saying it really, but a bit like they've used these 8 guys to get eyeballs on the event when, let's be honest, it was inevitable that either George, who is a YouTuber but almost a real player, or one of the real players would get through. And although Pete did really, really, really well, so fair play to Pete, it kind of feels like all that was done just to get the eyeballs on it. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really know. It wasn't, if it was actually 16 creators and one of them would go through to a PJ Tour event, that would be insane. To think that there's literally, let's say there was you, there was Pete, there was Fat Perez, there was Grant, there was GM Golf, all these guys, and one of those would be in a PJ Tour event. I'd be like, oh my days, I have to watch this. I can't believe that Peter Finch might be in a tour event, or you might be, or FP. But when I knew then beforehand, when I found out there was 8 guys who were actually like proper full-time players, I thought, oh, one of them will get through. I didn't even watch it. And in the end, that was the case. So I don't know. I felt a little bit cheated by it.
There was, I think a lot of people were surprised by the scoring as well. So out of the 16 guys, obviously George Bryant was the highest content creator / he's a player.
Yeah.
Peter Finch then you would argue was the highest content creator placed.
To be honest, I'll hand on heart, I was very impressed by Pete's score. I'll be honest.
I watched his whole video on Friday night. He played really well.
That is serious
and
golf.
He could have easily been under par, honestly. With very little effort, he could have easily been under par. I think with the risk of this, there's a risk of having a bad round of golf. There's guys in there who I think a lot of people were surprised about, like someone like Luke Kwan, who is known as being a very, very, very good golfer, 6 over par. He would be disappointed with that, I'm sure. Dan Rutherford had a great round at 4 over from 4 play. Grant Horvat, 7 over par. Again, I think people will be quite surprised about that. FP being 9 over par.
See, and that doesn't, those two, I love Grant and love FP, but they don't surprise me that much because they are guys who are content creators who are also great golfers.
Don't surprise us.
I think it's fair.
I've played golf with them. We spent time with them. We know they're not to the level of a Tommy Fleetwood or a Minwoo Lee.
The way I look at this is, I would say Grant Horvat and FP etc. are proper scratch golfers, right? Maybe a +1, whatever. But when I've been a member of a golf club and you've got guys who have scratch, who are seriously good golfers, whenever they go to a proper open or even open qualifying, they're always shooting late 70s, 80, 85s, etc. It's just what happens. It's just a different level. So when I personally saw that Grant and FP shot those scores, I didn't think they'd played horrendously.
But again, I think you compared to what maybe the fan base. I think the fan base, and they can shoot these scores, don't get me wrong, but Luke Kwan, Grant Horvat is almost always on the par.
Yeah.
And then I feel bad for Michael Morris. He shot 14 over, 86. He had a terrible start. I don't know if he's actually released a video from the day yet. Like, how did he actually shoot 14 over par? Did he just have a horrendous start? Let me just see because I know he's addressed some criticism, but I actually don't think he's not released an actual video yet to show how he actually shot 14 over par. But to some degree, I mean, I can sympathise. It's easy to do. It's really, really easy to do. If I was to put myself somewhere on this leaderboard, I would be somewhere between Grant Horvat and Micah Morris. Mm-hmm. I just know I would. I would find the pressure very difficult to deal with. As much as I know I can shoot a good score and I know I can compete with Pete and I know I can, play good golf, I just know under a situation like this, out of my comfort zone, playing a very challenging golf course, I know I'm always going to be in this kind of 7 over to 12 over to 14 over. It's just, I just know that's where I'm going to sit.
But I think again, this is something that we highlight a lot when we have the Masters on, and we always say we'd love if a random normal golfer played, because Grant Horvath's 79 or FP's 81 on that golf course in those conditions with that pressure is not the same as a 79 or 81 at your local golf course on a Saturday medal.
It's not at
the
all.
79, I would say, literally becomes probably level par, and the 81 might be 1 over. And even the 86 is probably like a 7 over.
Of course it is.
So it's very, you can't look at those scores. That's the thing with golf. I know we said this before again. If you're an athlete and you're a casual person who runs a 5K in 25 minutes, let's just say, you can appreciate how good a 12 or 13 minute whatever 5K is, and equally how, I don't want to say bad, but how much slower a 45 minute 5K would be. But golf, the score is so different depending on the conditions, the environment, everything, the weather, that you can't look at those scores in isolation. So I think that, again, to Micah's round, he obviously played badly, but that's not the same as an 86 at your local course.
He would absolutely wipe the floor with every golfer of 2 handicap plus. Micah Morris would wipe the floor with anyone who is all the way down to 2 handicap, and probably even those guys as well. He'd absolutely dust them. I've played golf with him. He's an unbelievable golfer. He hits the ball so bloody far. That's his only downside. Micah Morris hits the ball so far off the tee, he's not as accurate as he could be. Yeah. And on a golf course like that look very, 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 very tree lined, you just hit a couple of bad shots and they find the trouble in the trees. You can easily make double or triple from nowhere. And then soon as certainly something that's high profile as this, and if you got off to a bad start, it's just then damage limitation.
What would happen then? Would it be good or bad for YouTube if there was this kind of event again, but it was literally YouTubers only, and even maybe George Bryant was kind of excluded because he's almost too good, and it was like your actual YouTubers, and then one of them got through to the PJ Tour.
Love that.
But then what do you think would happen to then that golfer in that event?
They'd get absolutely...
And would that then be bad?
They'd get absolutely chewed up and spat out, I'm afraid.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So let's just say Pete, we'll use Pete as an example. He qualified because he's one of the better YouTube golfers. He then plays on the PJ Tour, and if he shot 85, obviously wouldn't make the cut. Does that then look bad that he's the best or one of the best and that's the score he shot? Or does it just not matter to people? There's another question. Do we get mixed with that? Does it matter like who's better out of Grant or Pete or Luke Kwan when they're all doing it for like fun, for content? Does it matter how good they actually are at golf?
As content creators, I don't think we really care.
No.
Well, I'll chat to FP and I don't think they really, really care who's best. It's a nice little badge of honour. I think fans care more.
Yeah. But I wonder why people do care, though, because people don't watch for the best golfers, do they? Because otherwise they'd be watching the tour, not YouTube. Like I don't know now, hand on heart, who's better out of GM Golf or Grant, let's say. Probably a great match, but doesn't matter, does it? Like...
And also, they've had one match, and that doesn't like... Because on paper, I'm better than Grant.
Did you beat him?
Yeah. But that's one match, isn't it? Yeah. You know what I mean? Over 10 matches. Like, again, the match I had against Pete, I took him down the last. Over 10 matches, that might be... I don't think you can really even justify who's better in one match.
Yeah.
Can you really? Even one round of golf. That was one round of golf. Like... qualifying for the Open is at least 3.
Oh, but then you could also... I know FP comes from Bob Does Sports, but Bob himself now, obviously with yourself, is one of the biggest and most popular creators, but he would never go to that event because he's clearly not good enough.
I think he cadded for FP.
Well, that's what I mean. He's not going to play in that event. But yeah, does it matter that he isn't the best player when he's one of the biggest followings?
It's weird, isn't it?